All right, we talked about making a video on sexless marriage, a woman's perspective on how it gets there. Would your marriage have been classified as a sexless marriage the last 5 years or so?
At least, yes.
At least, okay. Did it start out that way?
No, not at all.
Is any main reasons why? Now, hang on. Are you someone who enjoys sex?
Yes.
Okay. We've been together over 4 years. We're still technically newlyweds. Mm-hmm.
In the last 6 months, there has been just as much, if not more, way more, with us than there was in the last couple of years of my marriage.
Okay.
Before.
All right. What killed it off? Because I wanted to make it clear to anyone who's watching this who doesn't know us that we have a pretty vibrant sex life.
Yes.
We'll leave it at that. Fun.
This time.
This time, yeah.
This time we'll spare you.
Yeah.
What led to it? And here's the really sad thing. We did talk about this briefly, and I had all these ideas swirling through my head, and now I'm going blank. So bear with me because
no problem.
I know one of the things that led to it is it was both of us. Okay. I started having a lack of desire because I felt like when things happened, it was all about him.
Okay.
There wasn't there was a lot of selfishness there.
It's all about the penis.
Right? When he got his, he was done.
Okay, and that kind of goes to the orgasm gap that you hear about. And the reality is you didn't receive proper sex ed.
No.
He didn't receive proper sex ed. And in the Western Hemisphere, none of us received proper sex ed about pleasuring your partner.
Right.
Because it turns out if you focus on pleasuring your partner, guess what they want to do more of?
Yeah.
Have orgasms. Have fun.
Yeah.
It's not the goal, but it's a hell of a fun byproduct.
Right.
Okay, so selfishness.
So there was selfishness, but there was also timing was a big issue. So like if I was, trying to be flirty and I was kind of interested earlier in the day, it would be, okay, well, we'll get to that. And then he wouldn't come to bed until 11:30 and expect me to go there.
Be awake and ready to go?
Couldn't. I'd had a long day. I had 3 teenage boys in the home. Like, I was exhausted. It had to happen earlier in the day if it was going to happen for me.
And timing's a real thing. Some people are morning folks. Some people are evening folks. But, one of the things we've kind of adopted is a fuck first attitude. We don't have kids in the house.
Yeah.
But one, date night has nothing to do with sex.
Right.
2, sometimes there's a bonus round.
Uh-huh.
But we're not tired. We don't have full stomachs. There's a lot of advantages.
Yeah. And
that's just foolishness on his part.
Yes.
Because, quite honestly, he didn't want to do it at 11:30 either. I seriously doubt it.
And that actually kind of leads me to another point. There were a lot of little things that would get turned around on me and blamed on me. It was my fault if I didn't want to have sex in the middle of the night, well, you led me on and stuff like that. When he was selfish, we started out with toys in the relationship.
And it was funny. I was going to ask about it because we just came from
an adult
boutique. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a separate video.
But
so you did have toys.
We did have toys. It was an enhancement initially, and then as the relationship grew a little more distant, we were both stressed. We were both busy. If toys ever came out of the drawer, then it would somehow get turned into it's my fault that I can't get anywhere because I don't have sex with him often enough, and then he arrives too quickly. And
so let's talk about that, man.
I couldn't.
It's basic biology. Men orgasm in 5 to 8 minutes, typically. Women, it is 20 plus minutes. Hence, foreplay. Hence, oral. Lots of oral.
Yeah.
Enjoy that stuff. And play and have fun. Because 15 or 20 minutes can go like that. And then she's ready. Now, do some women take even longer?
Yes.
Yes. So if a toy helps, and it is a different type of orgasm too.
Yeah.
But the reality is, figure out what works.
So toys became a fight eventually, and I think that he started to feel threatened by it. But there was an awful lot. Here's a big one. I mean, honestly, a really big one for me. He nitpicked all kinds of things on my appearance. So much so that there were times that we would be intimate and he would say something about what I looked like in the middle of it.
I say what you look. I talk about how...
not in good ways.
Oh.
Like you do in good ways and very loving and sometimes really naughty ways. But I would, even in everyday life, like he was so critical of me, my domestic skills, my appearance, like everything. I didn't feel like I could do anything right. And that doesn't make you want to get intimate with someone.
Charlie has a line he uses: "Dear lover, you disappoint me. Let's have sex." You can't be critical. You can't be negative and then expect her to feel good about herself and want to have sex.
Right.
And I wanted to do this video, and it is not to throw your ex under the bus, but to educate men on all these things we don't think about or we do that shoot ourselves in the foot.
I'll be honest, he got really into that provider mindset, which was, there's a whole lot of stuff there that we won't go into, but he was working way more than he needed to, but I think a lot of it was to be away from the house.
So he was using it as a way to avoid.
And so, but he was tired and he was angry, and all of those things kind of came out, you know.
And men, if you think they can't feel your energy, you're wrong. And two, the greatest way to dry her up, make it like a dusty cave, is anger. Because it triggers a fear response, a self-preservation response. And women have a different sensing than men when it comes to anger. You may think you're just a little annoyed. She sees that as anger. That's a threat to her physical well-being. But I've never hit her. It doesn't matter. It's a biology thing. If I turn this video off and I truly, with my bare hands, wanted to harm you, could you really stop me unless you got lucky?
Absolutely not.
No.
And the thing is, my ex was smaller than I am.
Yeah.
Like he was shorter, smaller stature, smaller bone structure, but he still could have hurt me.
Yeah. And even when you know you're not going to get hit, it's just innate. So men, educate yourself. Make foreplay a bigger part of the relationship. Now, if you're in a sexless relationship currently, or one that has been dying, you can't suddenly go, I'm going to do these things, let her know, and say everything's fine. No. You got to start by showing up for yourself first, better, then for her, and so she can believe the changes are real and are just not another way of something you're doing to try to get laid.
Don't forget that foreplay, I like to call it pre-foreplay because it starts way before the physical touch, and then it escalates into non-sexual touch and then sexual touch. But there needs to be that
foreplay for your sexual encounter begins the moment your last one ended.
Yeah.
You should be the fun, flirty guy. And granted, it doesn't even matter if I'm out. My stuff's not always, wouldn't be PG-13 appropriate to say the least. But you know the energy and the intent behind it. And it makes you feel, I believe, desired, loved, and wanted. Yeah. Which makes you more receptive to everything else.
So somewhere, and I will put my hands on it if someone absolutely needs me to find it, but I was reading somewhere that for women, it might have been that Esther Perel thing. One of the biggest turn-ons for women is feeling sexy. So it's kind of almost a narcissistic view of desire.
No,
it was
Esther Perel. She talks about women's sexual desires are more narcissistic because it goes to them feeling good about themselves.
Exactly.
As compared to the man is like lusting after her type thing. Yeah.
So, make her feel beautiful. Let her know she's desired, because that leads to so many sexual feelings for women. So it's important.
This is your How to Start Repairing It guide. All right. If you have any questions, Melanie's link will be down below. My link will be down below. Don't hesitate to reach out. I talk to men all the time on this topic. I hear at least a half a dozen times a year, you're the only one I can talk to about this. I get some interesting conversations, and I'm honored that you all trust me for those. Have a great week, guys.